Good evening, good morning, and good night. Welcome to Inappropriate Radio. It's your host, Tashana, the hostess with the mostest. Let's get into this. So, this evening, I am apparently late again. That's because we've been preparing for tomorrow, right? Got some good sleep in to have my mind and my spirit rejuvenated for this event. And just did some planning and preparing, right? We were initially going to talk about manganese, not to be confused with magnesium, right? We'll get to it. But the creator wanted me to kind of shed light on some things. This battle between the higher or pieces of your higher self, or shall I say the newest version of yourself, there's this battle between your past, your current, and your newest version, right, of yourself. Not sure if you've been listening, but I believe it was about 2 or 3 days ago. Maybe that was last night, how I just touched on how we need to stop saying our higher self. Yeah, that was last night. Because your higher self is the version of you that exists in all dimensions. And we don't necessarily want to link with who we were in the past. And we don't want to be linked into who we are in the future in other dimensions before that time is here, right? We don't want to move ahead of ourselves. And the creator today, I've been craving cheese, right? I don't really eat cheese, but I've been wanting like pizza all day. So I've been here thinking like, maybe I'm just associating Fridays with pizza because it's something that I've always done for years, right? And then the creator said, no, it's just a little bit of warfare. What's happening is your desires from your lower self is the last little trinkets that can be used as warfare. And those are the last little pieces of yourself that you need to deal with before you fully ascend into the more upgraded version of yourself for this reality that you're currently in, for this cycle that you're in right now. Your lower self has desires that are connected to not only your past self, not only your past emotions, but to the very things that have been bogging down the bloodline, right? So if I'm here saying I want pizza, right, and I know it's not a good thing for me, and I'm still willing to ingest it or consume it, I'm not really caring about how it's going to affect the link, right? I'm allowing the link to be softened and folded through my selfish desires, right? And let me tell you, the creator will create circumstances to let you know if you are ready to dive and delve into this next level. Why? Because he'll block it. I just wanted this pizza so bad. Everybody knows I don't like taking the last slice of pizza from nowhere. I don't care where it's from or where it's at, right? So when you start looking at the things that are granted, there's still a lesson that needs to be learned there if it's from your past self or your lower self, the desires from your lower self. Because remember, we talked yesterday about, just your dream being something that you need to hunt for, and just really having the desires that are placed on you. I'm sorry, I'm having a moment. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with this clock, but I'm here looking at it as I'm speaking. The clock is not moving, so I'm not sure if I'm recording or not right now. But so hopefully if it's still recording, I will be able to upload this in a minute. If it's not, I guess I'll just have to re-record it. But the gist of what I'm saying is that when you start moving into this next cycle, right? This is an upgraded version of you, right? The things that keep you bound to your past self are going to come up, and you don't have to necessarily ignore them, right? You can look at this from a spiritual lens and say, why am I even wanting this? Like, do I really want it? Or is this just something that's a part of routine? Like, is this a spiritual attack? Because remember, these attacks can come from anywhere. So this very well could have been the one thing that could have made me sick, right? If I ate just a little bit of cheese today, then I would be like messing up whatever good deeds I've done as far as, taking care of my body for the whole entire week. Maybe the little fast that I did, wasn't quite enough, right? But that little one slice or two slices might tip me over into, having some complications that I don't necessarily need right now. And that's just my situation, right? I'm just using this desire for this particular thing because the spirit of gluttony is very well one of those spirits that you don't want to play around with. So this is where a lot of the warfare comes in, because it's not just eating, it's just your desires and your temptations and how you succumb to them, right? Or if you are strong enough to say, you know what, I don't really need that, and I have to build myself up to be able to just simply say no. Like, never mind the creator, allowing certain situations or environmental factors to stop it. Of course, he's going to block it. If he said no, he said no. But I'm saying, like, forget the angels having to alert him and say, hey, God, please, we've been telling her no, and she's doing this. And again, the slice of pizza is just one analogy for today. This could be with drinking, smoking, having sex, watching porn, getting upset, arguing with people, shopping. It doesn't have to necessarily be the pizza, right? It could just be any old thing that is connected to your past self that is not allowing you to flourish in ways that you're being called to, especially if it's something that's been brought to your attention already. It is not your job to do the creator's job. It's your job to do what the creator tells you and instructs you and guides you to do. And we're human, right? We fall short. We're not always obedient. But a lot of the times that disobedience, right, is where we start learning how to counter the attacks, how to counter the warfare. And let's just really be honest. Sometimes it's not always warfare. Sometimes it's just you needing to know how to stand up against your temptations, right? It's not always somebody sending some evil eye or some spiritual attack or some, demonic entity. I'm not saying that it's not attached to that, but it's not always an attack. Sometimes it's just you needing to change your mindset in your environment. But a lot of the times when these attacks are sent out, if your energetic field is vibrating in such a way that the attacks can't penetrate, then yeah, some of the smallest things, some of the things that are a little bit finer, they will try to use to, break down your walls and make your vibration a little bit lower to make your aura feel penetrable, if that makes sense, right? So if you are vibrating so high, or if the God has this triple, quadruple shield around you, but the people who are attacking you, they're aware of your weaknesses, then they can use literally anything. They could use a person bumping you at the Walmart because they know that you're confrontational and it's hard for you to keep your mouth shut. And having humility is one of the things you're weak at. That is an entry point, right? And we've talked about that, just suiting up and preparing ourselves and learning the ways to identify and being able to make the distinction between something sent by the creator and something sent by the underworld. And I just had a conversation with a friend earlier today, and, we just discussed how, the abyss is the underworld, is the world of darkness, and how there's multiple gods, right? And of course, we're gonna agree to disagree. These are spiritual, conversations that people don't necessarily always agree on. And sometimes when you have different life experiences, different cultures, different upbringings, you're going to see things differently. But the overall gist of that conversation that I want to bring, forward to this topic is to pretty much just be aware, right, of what it is that you're in the midst of. Because a lot of people, they're not necessarily aware of this underworld that we're in, right? A lot of people who are spiritual, they are not giving credit, or shall I say acknowledgement, to the entities and the energies that are in charge, if you will, in this realm, right? In this dimension. Now, of course, we have other realities that are within this dimension. And if you know, right? You know your ways around. You can combat certain things. You'll be able to have the spiritual eye to see things that the average person does not. Okay? The idea is to have a good notion on not only to counter, but to just be able to identify. God could very well be sending you an angel. It could be somebody that you absolutely would never, ever pay attention to. Like something that you would absolutely hate is what the Creator will send you to test you. And something that you absolutely love is what the enemy will send you to test you, right? So this is where your discernment comes from. This is where your perception, your humility, your humbleness comes in, because we don't always get to see things that the way God wants them to see us if we're not vibrating in the correct energy. And this goes back to like that alignment conversation, but just overall knowing and learning how to understand where God has us in our spiritual journeys. Your journey is not something that you just get baptized or you take shahada or you commit and then you just like say, okay, this is it. I'm starting my new life today. Like, no, once you voice that into the ethers and you say, I'm changing, I'm committing to God, this is what I want to do. You put that in your heart, you put that in your spirit, and you have all of these things and you are tunnel vision, this is when the attacks and the tests are going to come. You're going to get tested and you're going to get attacked. And this was another thing that was mentioned earlier, like basically the devil's job is to keep you earthbound, right? To prevent you from ascending in the ways that the Creator spoke over not your vessel, but your soul, what He spoke over your spirit, where He wants your spirit to travel throughout these journeys. Because remember, everything is time stamped, right? When you think of life, when you think of living, when you think of the earth, everything dies after a certain time. But you are infinite in all of those, in a lot of the other rooms. You have yet to be conceived in other timelines, right? And if you are not making it on time where you're supposed to be in this dimension, you're going to be late in the other dimensions. Like that's the catch-22, right? We have this free will and we have all these, concepts on, if it's meant for me, then this is that and that. And that's very well true. But guess what? Your spiritual self needs to still arrive in this dimension at a certain time, because it's dependent on you and other realities, right? Your conception time here is connected to your conception time elsewhere, if that makes sense. So yeah, hopefully we'll be getting back to the periodic table shortly, but I do love y'all. I hope y'all are drinking your water, eating y'all fruit and vegetables, and sipping on your own tea because it's free. And I hope y'all are gonna enjoy y'all weekend. And I hope to see you guys tomorrow at the event. 3:00. You could come a little earlier or you could come a little later. It's up to you. But just come. All right. I do love y'all.